Hi everyone, welcome to a night of LLHS, and we're going to be doing Secure by Scenario tonight with James and his cats, and who already started showing up. It's great to have our pet friends in our sessions. Anyway, so we're going to start with the briefing of the session scenario for tonight, and then we will give you each, we will assign you randomly to your teams, and we will open the breakout rooms where you will be discussing for 20 minutes about your team and actions and decision making. Each team has a moderator. You can see their names. Each moderator has a very long name because of their team name. And when we come back, your moderator or any spokesperson that your team chooses will brief us on what you guys have discussed and what you decided. There are back channels for communication for the moderators. So they will be able to, if you get stuck or have more, you need more information, that your moderators will be using that back channel to communicate between them. So, James, tell us about the scenario.
Okay, some of you will get a bit more information in your breakout rooms, but essentially a power company called GlowGrid, nice ethical power company, has been affected by a ransomware attack of some kind. The group claiming credit for this and wanting the payment for the ransom is called Green Day. There's a company called Lunarstorm who have some management and configuration software used extensively by GlowGrid, and they've been brought in to try and help see if there's any efforts that could be done to dig out good servers, to roll back to earlier versions, any sort of recovery effort. So there's a professional services team from them in at the moment. And there are some other stakeholders involved who will find out where they're involved fairly quickly. There's also the National Intelligence Agency. Please don't read anything into the acronym. It's not meant to reflect any real intelligence agencies. And they are involved because GlowGrid obviously provides critical national infrastructure, and so any security event will be reported up to them immediately. So they are keeping an eye on the situation. And the aim is you will have about 20 minutes in your teams to talk it through, take actions. Your moderator can pass on any questions, and they will also pass on any updates to the scenario. We'll then come back in, you report the major news, the big headlines of what you've done. I synchronize the scenario by saying this is where we are now, and we just repeat that a couple of times. So it's very much a talking narrative exercise. You can do within reason anything, no nuclear weapons, but otherwise, whatever you would realistically have, you can consider that you have. If you think you would be resource constrained on something, then you probably are. There is no winning or losing on this. The aim is to play through a realistic scenario and see how things will evolve. It's not to say, oh, the red team have won because they got the money, or the blue team have won because they shut down the attack. It is to see how it plays through, what happens, how it plays out. And yes, no drones. National intelligence agencies could arguably get drones, but you've not got any on hand. Are there any questions?
Great, means everyone is so ready.
Okay.
All right, the breakout rooms are opening. You have 20 minutes.
Systems in the last update cycle were affected. So that is in the last update last night. Those are the ones that have been infected with ransomware. Basically everything patched within the last 24 hours.
I'm sorry, James, we only just came back, so you were already talking. Sorry, would you mind doing that again?
No, that's fine. So GlowGrid have figured out, and Lunarstorm have figured out, that systems affected were all systems patched within the last 24 hours. Now, this is mainly accounts and marketing systems. However, there might be some information from other parties to be thrown in, so I'll leave that to them. GlowGrid, I believe, are planning an emergency reorg, dragging some teams together, and I'll let them talk about that. And everything else I think you can cover in your team. So Dida, do you want to do the team briefs?
So let's start with Lunarstorm Professional Services team. Terry.
I'm not on mute, so that's good. Right, so James kind of outlined to us that we were the pointless people. We're the professional services where we don't really do much, and we're there to kind of hold the hands of the customer, so GlowGrid. So I think we had a bit of a discussion about it, and we thought that primarily our first call would be to escalate up to what we called Lunarstorm and GlowGrid. So you need to invoke your BCDRP, your business continuity disaster recovery plans. But
you are Lunarstorm.
Sorry?
You are Lunarstorm.
Yes, I know, but I'm not the management team, am I?
Mm-hmm.
I'm professional. We're the consultants, the people that get paid a lot but don't do anything.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, go continue.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to argue. I'm a consultant. I get paid a lot and don't do much. So
I've also been a consultant. I got paid a lot and you don't do much.
Yeah.
I think, and also, so in our team was Uchechi. She just graduated in cybersecurity. So I suppose for someone like her, it's quite difficult to know what kind of what a sort of real world example would be, and how the sort of process for it is. And also coming for it from a different view, such as being the consultant. But she did suggest, well, perhaps we should let the customer know, tell them we're working for the customer and we probably have that good customer bond with them. James, I'm sure you would get on really well with the customer. And hold their hand a little bit. Sorry, say again, Dida.
Are you doing that for other customers as well? Because supposedly you might have too many customers.
We might have, but nobody said that we were based with GlowGrid and not any other customer. But having escalated it, and encouraged, told the management to invoke DLP, then they should be doing that, notifying all their customers, because you have you in your business continuity, your DR plan, you'd have your list of customers who you need to contact and to advise.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions?
Just one thing just one thing I'd like to ask on that, because I don't think you covered it, or it froze while you covered it because I had a blip. What's the reason that you are notifying Lunarstorm's customers for that?
We're not notifying it. We wouldn't do that. We're notifying the management team.
You are suggesting Lunarstorm activate their BCDR plan. Yeah. What's the reason behind that? What's the reason you're giving to GlowGrid for saying they should do it?
Well, we're there, so we're telling them they've been hit by the ransomware, haven't they? That has come from our system. So we're escalating it to our manager, saying, "This is, if it's affecting us, you're going to have to do something about it, and it's coming from us."
Yeah. So the bit they didn't know was that it was coming from your system.
Yeah, that's not our job to tell them that. That's somebody else can tell them that.
Okay. Fine. So in that case, I think next would probably be Lunarstorm management.
Yeah.
That me? That's me then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so, you are GlowGrid.
Oh,
yes, you're GlowGrid management. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, Lunarstorm management.
I can do the update for Lunarstorm management. So Lunarstorm management assembled a kind of crisis team involving some marketing and PR people to do some preemptive external pieces just in case it did impact our company, along with legal team, compliance and risk people to kind of make sure that all the bases are covered off, to make sure there is a decision tree in place to make sure that any information that comes out of the investigation that impacts Lunarstorm and any other customers could get signed off very quickly and effectively by the right person. as part of the crisis team would also be to make sure that there are technical support lined up over the bank holiday weekend, and just presuming that if they do need any support over the bank holiday, that people were ready to kind of get boots on the ground. They were also going to contact the specific account manager for GlowGrid to make sure they get in touch and offer any support and that we can do as part of the investigation or as part of systems continuity, and just kind of do a little bit of sympathetic helping out of the customer, but then also engage other account managers to reach out to large customers, not to inform them of anything, just to kind of do a bit of a check-in. How are you doing with all our other big customers, just to see if they're all happy. And an internal social media block to make sure that no one is tweeting about any link between this ransomware attack and Lunar Storm. I think that is everything that we spoke about. But someone else from the head office can shout out if I've missed anything.
No, I don't think you have. I think that was it.
Very sensible, but also cheeky. So, any questions to Lunar Storm head office team? From other groups as well? Nope. Let's move to Nicola now. GlowGrid management. How did it go?
Oh, well, obviously we were kind of a bit in the dark, and at first we were thinking we weren't sure what exactly had been attacked. We were kind of discussing, what have we lost here? Like, is customer data being impacted? We really weren't sure. We did discuss a bit similar to Lunar Storm management team. We did discuss getting a PR team and everything in place to kind of manage comms and stuff for us with our customers. Just in case we had lost any customer data, we did talk about getting a crisis team set up as well. Towards the end, once we kind of discovered that maybe it was like a couple of our systems that had been impacted, or the systems that held customer data, obviously we were more concerned, and we did talk about joining up and maybe getting the IT team, kind of restructuring, as James alluded to, and trying to get the IT team coming in because they're the technical experts. Obviously we're not, we're the kind of management team. So we wanted the people that could help us quickly identify how big the issue is, how concerned we ought to be. We spoke about that. We also spoke about coordinating with the NIA as well. Obviously, all being part of the national infrastructure, we felt that maybe they would want to take the lead on kind of communications, whether kind of public comms went out, or just kind of keep us right with regards to that. Talked about disaster recovery as well. I guess at first we were kind of the mindset that maybe it was like they were just trying to attack the grids as well. So we were like talking about, can we flip over to other parts of the grid and still ensure customers are kind of servicing it? But I think that was just when we were maybe going off on a tangent. I don't know. I think.
I have a quick question.
Sure, yeah, of course.
The PR team and all the other teams and things that you're doing, are you using all in-house resources, or are you getting any external help?
That is a good question. We didn't actually discuss that. I'm assuming we would have our own PR team, but I guess our external help might just be the NIA, National Intelligence Agency. Keeping us right.
Actually, if I could just jump in, I was on this team.
Yeah,
When I mentioned it, I thought that usually you bring in a professional crisis management team for PR team for something like this.
Thanks, Sandra. I think that's, if I missed anything else, Sanya, is there anything you would add to that?
Check for stock shorts to see if we were targeted. But now that we know that it's coming from Lunar Storm, that may not be the case.
Yeah, I think that was us. Dida.
If it's targeted, so say it's like it's coming from a nation state, do you have involvement from the equivalent of the NSA, but you're MI5 or whatever, it'd be MI6, because it's foreign. You know, would there be another attack? You know, has it affected any other grid? Has it affected any other company? Any other CNI across the country?
I wonder, with a name like Green Day, is it hacktivists?
I mean, but it's just another consideration, isn't it? Because you don't know if it's going to affect anywhere else, any other company that's or any other grid.
Yeah, we did actually discuss that, didn't we? We were at first we were wondering if it was like ransomware for hire.
Yeah, we wondered whether or not any other electricity companies had been targeted, and whether there was a consortium of electricity companies that we could bring our concerns to.
One thing that, sorry, it's Daryl, I'm on the NIA team. One thing that people will have access to, especially if they're critical infrastructure, is, for life of me, I'm a member of it in the real world, but I can't think what it's called, is there's the NCA forums where you can actually go and see what's going on. So like when, the name of the thing will come back to me in a minute. But you can go on
or
there.
something like that.
Sorry?
The Broco or something like that.
No, it's not. It's part of the NCA now. It will come back to me, but there is a forum that you can go onto, which you've got to be invited to, being a company you are.
CISP.
Sorry?
CISP, as Amelia said.
Sorry, yeah, I should remember. I'm a member of it, but you'd be able to go on there. So when, for example, WannaCry came out, I remember being on there and seeing a lot of information initially start, then it went closed because I wasn't within the NHS groups.
Yes, I was the same, because I was at an NHS trust at the time for that. There's also, because I do some MOD work currently, we have something called a WARP, which is similar to like Care Search or something like that. It's quite industry specific.
So I would have thought you could communicate through there and list it as, you know, within the relevant colour of who should see that information.
Thanks for sharing. Nice. So any questions to Nicola and GloGrid management? If not, let's move to blue team at GloGrid. Kimberly.
Hello.
Hey.
So yes, being the blue team, we thought about straight away thinking about the NIST incident response process. So contain and eradicate. So we wanted to do things like look at our SEAM and see what information's on there, and sort of work out what's been affected. What parts of our systems have been affected. Look at our honeypots and things like that to see what kind of ransomware it is, if we could. And then we also said we'd investigate if there's been any impact on any of the critical systems within our company, any unusual behaviour. We're hoping that we'd be set up well and everything would be quite segregated, so there won't be too much lateral movement. But because we don't know the motive, we wanted to check that, if it was just ransomware for money, or if it was because it was state sponsored and they were trying to weaponize us. So that things like we'd look at our topology and check what parts of the network have been affected, investigate possibly even where it had come from. We thought maybe some sort of spear phishing attack to do with management, but possibly not now, we're thinking. And then also do some threat intelligence on Green Day, so some researching on them. Like you say, the name Green made us think some ideas behind the motive, but also check what kind of other attacks they've carried out and who they usually target. And yes, also check on CISP and advise them that and share that we have been attacked, and see if anyone's got any other information.
And at this point, you know about Green. Green Day. Do you know about the other red team? Did you come across them in your investigation, or you're blind to them currently?
I think we're currently blind to them. Are we, James?
Sorry, I've just been passed a disgusting drink of some
Well, don't
kind.
drink it then.
I was distracted for a moment there.
Dee Dee was saying, we're aware of Green Day, but as the blue team, are we aware of the other red team yet? Or is it still too early in the investigation?
No one is aware of the other red team yet.
Right. So yeah, so to be honest, I missed the bit that it came from, is it Luna Storm? I thought Luna Storm were a recovery company brought in to help us. But actually it was their software that's compromised us, is it? Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. I'll put this in my report.
Good investigative skills, Kimberly. Great. Okay, then shall we, any questions to the blue team?
Or anyone else from my team have anything to add? I think we did do lots of things. They were just the key ones, especially the thing about the backups, how we know definitely the last 24-hour backups have been compromised. We're still investigating to see if we can roll back our system. And we were going to get in contact with management to see if there'd even be an option of paying the ransomware, paying the ransom if our backups aren't good enough.
Okay. Thank you for that. Questions? Okay, let's move to the National Intelligence Agency. What did you guys find out, or what did you do?
Sorry, I couldn't work my mute button, which is everything you want from a national intelligence agency. So our biggest question, so our motivation is to protect the public. So our biggest questions were whether it was just a corporate system that had been affected, or whether those systems were connected to any actual infrastructure systems. So that's one of our big questions. I suppose the other big question is, if there is a connection, is there any evidence that those systems have been affected yet? Those are our biggest ones. In terms of customer data, obviously that's important, but that's probably not something we need to get involved with just yet. But critical national infrastructure is going to be our biggest priority. And if the power grid is affected, we need to know, and we need to start checking that there's the correct backups in place. So those were our biggest thoughts and the most important things for us to know.
Are you also checking other national infrastructure providers to see if they're also getting similar attacks, seeing attacks?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's something that we can really do. I think, wouldn't we be waiting to hear from others? I don't know. Also, other team members, feel free to join in.
Go on, James.
I was going to say, you'd expect to be notified if there were any other active attacks.
Yeah.
Unless someone was in denial.
Yeah. It also falls into the motivation, like, because you want to protect the public. You see something somewhere. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not you. You're making the decisions.
We're very cross about it, and we'll let them know how cross we are. Just to make them feel bad.
Thank you. Questions for the agency? Okay, we will move to the ransom team, Red Team 2. What surprises do you have for us?
Bear in mind, you might want to keep some things redacted for now.
Sure. So this is Green Day. We've obviously found an amazing backdoor. We have no idea how it got there, but we're happy that it's there. So within our group, we kind of just decided maybe what are some future steps we may want to take. I don't want to give all of those away just yet. But you know, we're looking for what opportunities are out there for us based on what we can find, what reconnaissance we've done in terms of how we can navigate systems and potentially what we have access to. And that's kind of what our discussions have been about so far.
So I guess even if you ask your questions, you won't answer much, but are there any questions to our attackers?
Yes, why are you doing this?
So it's not for the reasons that you think.
Great answer.
You are allowed to have a chat channel, so you are allowed to just have that discussion now and explain why you're doing it if you want to. That's entirely up to you, or you can keep it quiet.
Go on, Megan.
Go on, give us the go.
Yeah.
Why would I give you guys the goss? I mean, I might
Help
be
us
giving
out.
something away.
Because if you give us the goss, we won't send you to jail.
You've got to find me first. You've got to find me
Or
first.
drone you.
Probably not in the UK.
How much is the ransomware?
I have many drones. Sorry.
Oh my. How much is the ransomware?
ransom?
That's a good question. Sorry?
How much is the ransom?
Let me check with my team.
Many millions.
If anyone starts pulling a Dr. Evil, no, just no.
I think
trust you.
all right, we can we're gonna be skipping the red team 1 because nobody has found out about them yet. So we don't we're not gonna hear from them on this round. I'm gonna open the rooms back again. And we will go for the second round. Do we have any further information for the teams, James?
Not at this point. I think Green Day need to go and work out how much their ransom actually is and decide what to do.
Either can we get the IT team, the blue team, in with us in our room?
You can, so you should be in the same room when you go back, Dita.
Yep, I will do that now. I will do that right after I open the rooms.
Can I ask how much the client is worth to Luna without the hackers knowing? Actually, don't tell the hackers how much the client's worth to us. Someone drop us a message in our room.
I'll pop by the room in a bit.
Okay.
See you.
Oh.
But let's wait for the others. Everyone's coming back.
Welcome back, everyone.
Look at this, red team, so cheery. So, James, do you want to give any updates?
Yep. Do we want to let Kimberly in from the waiting room?
Yeah, I just did.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm going to give an update from the media team.
Media team.
Media team. Media team are reporting on a wave of attacks against different companies internationally. And the common pattern that has been picked out by blue teams at these companies is that it appears to be users of Lunarstorm software. So that's the inject from the media team, and then into the normal team briefings. And we've got the last turn after this.
So shall we start with Lunarstorm? So we have merged two teams together over there as well. Who wants to go and give an update?
If you like, I can give an update. I disappeared off at the end of the session, so there might be more to add to this. What the head office wanted to happen was to engage an internal pen test team to have a look at their own systems and see if there's any vulnerability or any kind of evidence of kind of wrongdoing within their own network, and to share information with GlowGrid, and so they can capture as much evidence as possible about how the kind of ransomware ended up on GlowGrid's network, any evidence of a backdoor, just so they can try and kind of get down to how this has happened. They wanted to put a halt on delivering any more patches out to any new customers, and to engage with the devs who worked on it, and talk to them about, if the issue is in fact with the latest patch, and kind of trying to find out how many clients use that version of the patch, and how easy it is to roll back the changes that were delivered with that patch. They would also like to kind of engage their comms team that they did in the first round, make some clients aware that this has happened through their account manager network, but also talk to shareholders about the fact that this incident has happened and it hasn't used the Lunarstorm, it's kind of been compromised through the Lunarstorm software. But as to kind of mitigate those risks, they would like to hire in a professional crisis management response expertise, so that this kind of can be handled professionally. They would also like to clean data from their website and put a standardized message on there, which is kind of very minimal, and has been okayed by legal, to kind of release a statement on the matter. Engage their forensics team on kind of where they think the back door is, and look at threat intelligence so that they can make sure they support any customers who may be affected. There may be other updates if I've missed them, so anyone from head office kind of jump in now if there's anything else that you kind of actioned.
No, I think that sounds about right. How did your departure go?
The kind of folks over at GlowGrid were happy to kind of share any information that they had with us from their investigations, and would really like our experts to go in and kind of help them retrieve anything from their systems that they can, and kind of provide as much support as kind of they can to GlowGrid.
Okay.
You mentioned you guys have cleaned up your website, with media being informed about the incident. Did you remove all your the list of your customers, clients, so that they don't get further attacks?
Yeah, it's quite stripped down, the website.
Great. Do we have anyone else who wants to say anything about Lunarstorm or ask any questions to them? All right, let's move on to GlowGrid. Again, we have merged the teams over there, so go on, Nicola.
Yep, so it was helpful for the management team, certainly on this round, having the IT team in. The guys that had managed to figure out some more than we had in the original round. Some of the discussions that we were having were still around, we're still unsure whether the backups are actually going to work for us. We're quite annoyed at Lunarstorm. We don't feel as if the comms from Lunarstorm has been particularly forthcoming. So, and obviously the attack started with them, so we're kind of questioning their security and the due diligence and stuff that maybe we've carried out on them. We were talking about whether we're kind of unsure whether our systems integrate with any of our suppliers, like further down our supply chain, and whether we need to think about that, and obviously have some kind of comms prepared to go out and make them aware of the situation. I guess we still spoke about the Green Day and we're kind of trying to work out whether they are in fact kind of hacktivists, or whether that's a bit of a kind of bluff, a bit of a double bluff, and whether they're actually a bit more sophisticated than they're letting on. So that was something that we talked about, whether it was a kind of diversion type tactic. Yeah, I think, Kimberly, is there anything you want to jump in and add?
Those were the main things. I guess we haven't found any other evidence it's affected any other critical systems, so it doesn't seem like they're trying to like weaponize us, and like even though it could be state sponsored, but it has completely compromised our main sort of management system. So we are pretty stuck at the moment, and our backups don't look like they're going to suffice. So yeah, we're in debate about what to do. What's the next steps from here?
Are you considering of paying the ransom?
Well, we did speak about, we're unsure whether our insurance covers us or not. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess if it's Lunar Storm's software, then maybe there might be some negotiation with Lunar Storm about any kind of payment as well, wouldn't there?
Yeah, because I think it seems like to us it's just us. The Lunar Storm confirmed that they haven't received any kind of request for ransom. It looks like it's just GlowGrid at this point that's had the request for ransom. So whether we do something, as Kimberly says, jointly, seeing they obviously have to take liability.
The thing we have heard from our professional services is that the ransomware is just an off-the-shelf one. It's not tailor-made. But as of yet, there is no decryptor.
Yeah, we were looking at sort of like threat intel and trying to work out whether that was almost a bluff of them pretending to be sort of like script kiddies when really the more sophisticated. And then I think someone else in my team mentioned if it is just off-the-shelf ransomware, would they even have the capability of decrypting all of our stuff if we did pay? So is that even another reason not to pay them?
Yep.
Has Green Day been on yet? My Zoom crashed, so
No.
I don't know if no. Okay.
Let's go to them next. Megan.
Hello, hello, hello. So by now, all of you are aware of our 4 Bitcoin, or around a little over $200,000 ransom. We have been quite busy though, actually. You know, once we identified the back door, we did some more reconnaissance. We've looked into, you know, who are some of Lunar Storm's other customers, you know, what are some ways we can find out who else is using that software, and we started penetrating their systems as well, and demanding ransoms as well for some of Lunar Storm's customers. So it's obviously probably why media picked up on it as well, because now it's starting to spread, and yeah, we've got a few ransoms out there now for a number of.
Did you contact the media? Did you tell them?
We did not contact the media.
Or did media contact you after knowing that you are a player?
We've been watching a lot of activity about it, but no, we haven't directly talked to the media.
Okay. Nice. Thank you. Any questions to Green Day? Okay. Let's move on to the National Intelligence Agency. So what news do you have for us?
Hi. So we did mention the back channels in this simulation are not as effective as in real life, because one of our requests would be that obviously it's not ideal if something like this gets out into the media. We prefer to sort of quantify it first, especially if it's critical infrastructure. So one of the requests we would have made in an ideal world would be for the companies that are involved to make any disclosures to us,
So
rather than go on.
Just to clarify on that one, no company has made any disclosures. That was taken into account.
Oh,
No
no,
company
but when
has disclosed anything to the media.
right, when the people were just discussing it, then they were talking about disclosures they were planning to make. In which case, we would then say, "Would you mind awfully letting us know before you do?" And then in terms of the other things that we wanted to know, so our big thing was that we got some information that there were some other Lunar Storm's products that had been affected. So our biggest question that we wanted to ask from Lunar Storm was, who do they provide software to? And in particular, do they provide software to any other infrastructure organizations? And also, do they provide any software to any government agencies? Those were our two big questions.
And do you use their products?
Something? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's another question.
So to answer that question, you do use their products for non-sensitive systems only, but they are used to manage your sort of standard user areas.
We know why your calls unencrypted now, Natalie.
I have no idea. Why has that happened? I've just joined the Zoom call.
That's very odd. I was looking at that too.
I don't know. It's probably Helen Major. She's like spying on me. She's hacked my computer. Yeah, those were our big ones. And thanks for that information. We're really pleased to hear that.
So, shall we hear from the APT group as well this round, Helen?
Has
Helen made a
might have dropped.
Oh, yeah,
here she is.
That's rejoining. Okay, anyone else from that group? Let me quickly check. Corinne, Amina, Watts, do you guys have any updates while Helen is joining?
Hello, I'm here.
Oh, she's here. Nice. So what are you guys doing? You're very, very stealthy.
Who found us? Did the National Intelligence Agency figure out who we were?
No.
A bit.
I don't think they did.
Well, we heard that it was happening. We heard that it was happening. Yeah.
I was going to say, we're just
we heard
waiting
that it was
for
happening
your
around the
confession.
rails. Yeah.
Okay, so yes, we exist. We're here. At the moment, we're just understanding. We're beginning to learn what you know, and we're trying to figure out what your responses might be and what we might need to do in reply to that. I think that's probably a fair assessment. We're trying to figure out the scope of what's actually happening right now. We've been monitoring. We've noticed some activity. We didn't authorize it. We're not happy.
So you're really not happy that media has found out about the backdoor, even though they don't know about you yet.
Yeah. We're kind of okay with it being Green Day's fault right now. I love that band.
Of course you are. Of course you are.
Keep being noisy, Green Day. Any questions? Any questions? We may or may not choose to answer.
I think that's fighting talk between groups, isn't it?
Who are you? Who do you work for?
Dunno.
What accent is that? What country are you in?
Has nobody given us a nickname yet?
I think you're Polar Bear, aren't you?
Yeah, Polar Bear.
Or is that your name? That you know, we don't know that yet.
I don't know. Do you know whether or not we know whether or not you know that yet?
This is getting complicated for me.
I know. Sorry, let's move on.
All right, are we ready for the next round? James, do you have any further information for us? Any bombs?
No, I've sent a couple of messages to people who need them. But other than that, this is the final round. And we are getting to a sort of conclusion anyway, so that's fine. I don't know why 3 seems to be the magic number, but it is. So at the end of this one, we'll just go through what's actually been happening throughout the scenario. This isn't a case of you missed all this stuff. This is a case of these are the types of things you would have picked up in the scenario, possibly or not. And this was what was going on in the background now that you've had the chance to sit through it with a very narrow viewpoint. But you've got one more turn left before that. So
I'll see you in 20 minutes. Welcome back from your last round. I hope you enjoyed it. So I will go to James first, and we will do the updates from everyone. And in this time, we would like you to tell us what you think was happening. And later, James will tell us what actually was happening. Yeah. So, James.
So if you feel you've been unfairly treated, not given much information and not given much guidance, welcome to instant response. The idea is that you get all of the frustration and stress out in something like this, so that when you run into it in reality, instead you just go, oh God, this again. So hopefully you've had a bit of that experience. You will also have been given very limited information. You will get the whole story, because I know people get fed up of that. But first of all, I would like to kick off. Let's go with Lunar Storm to start with. So just what you were doing in that last round and what you think was going on.
Sorry, I'm being a little bit laggy. Okay, so in that last session, we were talking about firstly about kind of our customers, and kind of now more customers have been affected and there's the potential that even more customers could be affected. We needed to get a priority list in order over, so looking at who's got the new version of the software, but also looking at those customers who may be targeted. And the ones that we were going to prioritize were healthcare companies, any companies where there might be a risk to life, anything that might involve anything regarding national security, and then to kind of prioritize larger customers over smaller ones, to make sure that we involved a legal team at every level of the investigation. And then we kind of started to think about what the issue was, because it's really frustrating not being able to fix an issue. So we spoke to our blue team, and the blue team basically said that the internal pen test team managed to find nothing of consequence at all in our system other than a weak password on one of our accounts. And that account had made some very sketchy changes to the repo. And so kind of that was a place to start our investigation, but it didn't really tell us very much at all. So we then consequently changed every single password on our system to make sure that there were going to be no more weak passwords, and then send out guidance on what a strong password was and kind of make sure everyone was trained. We then kind of got HR involved with the individual involved that had kind of made these sketchy changes, and kind of basically Google searched that employee, looking social media accounts, kind of doing a bit of a kind of check on them. Essentially, because our kind of pen test team didn't pick up anything else on our system at all, no dodgy tools, no kind of evidence that we'd been compromised, we kind of went down the insider route. We also said that we would, if two-factor wasn't already on our system, that we would make sure two-factor auth was on our all of our accounts on our system. What else? We were then going to follow up the investigation of the commits that this user had made to see if we could find out where a backdoor was, or kind of any vulnerability that had been put on our system, and put a recovery plan in place. We were then going to roll out an IR support with this professional expertise that we had in-house, but then also move like hire or load more people in, so kind of consultants and experts from other companies to kind of help support us and our customers at this point in time. We kind of looked at all this and then thought, well, it might just not be a script kiddie, it might also be kind of nation state, and kind of wanted to engage with the intelligence agency for support on this, and to see if they could either lend us any kind of intelligence on kind of what we might be dealing with. And then in terms of PR, as it's been put out that there was a kind of, that we were involved in this. Our plan was to kind of mostly deflect any pointed questions we got from journalists, but do little and often updates that were very factual, but no attribution at all. And then kind of just refer to the decision tree at every point in time to make sure that decisions are getting made by the right person to kind of avoid any kind of conflicts within the kind of leadership team itself. I think that covers everything, but kind of head office, tell me if there's anything else.
Did you mention that we're going to prioritize based on first organizations that, if impacted, may result in a loss of life?
I thought I had, but yes, I think we were focusing on healthcare risks to life, and then anything that was kind of national security or kind of infrastructure related.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
So that also covers what you think has been going. So you did think that could be a nation state actor you have mentioned. Did you?
So I don't think we necessarily knew. We kind of kept it in our minds that it could be. We didn't have any kind of evidence really to base that off, other than the fact that kind of a lot of customers had been affected. There was no evidence on our network of kind of any kind of level of hacking, and the fact it was in kind of a code repo was a bit sketchy. So I think we kind of always held the possibility that it could be, but I don't think we ever really kind of managed to put our finger on anything tangible.
Mm-hmm. No proof.
We have no proof.
Cool. Any questions to Emma? Okay, let's go to GlowGrid.
Okay, so we talked about getting like skilled developers or a team of developers to go in to Lunarstorm to look at their oh God, what's the word? I'm going to jump in and help me here.
Was it something
their version
control
version control system to see what had gone wrong there. I think we were made aware that it was down to a weak password, so we wanted to go in and find out exactly what had happened. Within our own team in GlowGrid, we were looking at just confirming what damage had been done internally. I think the fact that, you know, it happened to Lunarstorm systems shows that no testing or kind of quality control or whatever had been carried out on them. So we spoke about maybe getting our lawyers involved, potentially taking action against Lunarstorm. We also spoke about Polar Bear. We're talking about them and kind of what our thoughts were around them, and we think that that is linked to kind of espionage, and we think that they're kind of just they seemed very smug at the last check-in that we had, seemed very happy with themselves, so we think that they've already, whatever they're up to, they've already managed to carry out whatever their goal is. So we think they've been in there, and that Green Day have potentially just been a kind of front, if you like, or a kind of diversion tactic, right enough. And we're thinking that maybe they were just kind of looking to steal customer information and potentially sell that on the black market. Just the fact that like no ransom has come from them, we think that they've already got what they're looking for. So I guess we talked about making our customers aware that are on our account system, advising them to potentially change their account details, We spoke about notifying the ICO, because obviously this could be classed as a material breach or whatever. And I think that was the kind of key things for us.
How did you find out about polar bear?
Our threat intel, we did some research, didn't we? And yes, and sort of what they spoke about on the last call a little bit as well. And they named themselves. We didn't find evidence of any particular lateral movement, so we don't feel like they've compromised our actual grid and our critical infrastructure. That's why we're thinking maybe they are just there for espionage, and maybe we wouldn't have even found them if it hadn't been for the Green Day ransomware. Yeah, that's from all.
Are you now thinking of paying the ransom?
No,
Yeah.
we're not. Definitely not. I want my holiday to the Maldives on my private jet. I'm not willing to pay any ransom. It's going to impact my bonus.
No, it's going to be tough for us to rebuild stuff, but we were well prepared and we had decent backups. And so just because the last 24 hours failed, the rest is fine. So yeah, we had a good segregated system so it didn't spread too far beyond marketing and accounts. And we'll rebuild what we need to. But yeah, we won't be paying any ransomware. For reasons we've said in previous calls, we don't even know if they're capable of unencrypting our system, if it's just off-the-shelf ransomware. And then, yeah, we're still going to keep investigating to see what Polar Bear was able to do and what they're able to see. But otherwise, like Nicholas said, we're just going to advise our customers to change the details. And yeah, we're quite happy with everything.
Is there anything else you want to add that you thought was going on? You suspected but didn't have proof or anything else?
No, we don't know where Polar Bear's from. We're guessing maybe Russian, and we don't think they particularly targeted us being a green ethical power company. We say the fact that the Lunar Storm software is used by lots of other companies and also by the NIA is making us think more towards espionage. That's what we're thinking there. But yeah, we're quite annoyed of Lunar Storm's reaction and lack of help. So like Nicola said, we'd want to send over some forensic software developers to really find out what's happening and
get our lawyers on the case as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, cool Lunar Storm.
No sympathy from us.
Shall we go to the NIA? I think you're probably the next best informed.
Are we?
In theory.
Oh, this is awkward. Oh, yeah, the bombshell you gave us.
No, just generally, you've probably got a better idea of the scale of things, but not necessarily the detail.
Yeah, so we got the information that there are tens of thousands of companies affected around the world. It's basically everywhere, but I'm not sure if the rest of you knew that already. I get the feeling you did. Yeah, our concerns, our biggest concern was one of our main concerns was to get our appropriate teams on the fact that we use software from this company that's been compromised, because that's not ideal. It wasn't any systems that have sensitive information, but still we need to get on top of that. Yeah, it's everywhere, isn't it? It's not ideal. We're very disappointed in everyone, including ourselves. Team, have I missed anything? I feel like there wasn't much more.
You did have a tough job, in fairness.
Oh, good. Well, not good.
So, shall we go to Green Day?
Hello. So in the last bit, part of what we talked about was obviously we continued to attack companies of all sizes and locations, as Nat has also said from the NIA, because some of these companies are paying the ransoms, and it's working well for us as a business model currently. However, after the last interaction, we realized that maybe we're not as smart as we thought we were, and that backdoor existed before us. So we feel like maybe whoever planted it there was trying to find us and made us a bit paranoid. So we've just started to discuss about how we would make sure that we were kind of changing, locations, proxies, nodes quite often, because we started to get really paranoid, and also potentially starting to use like multiple addresses or IPs for our cryptocurrencies to try to make it harder to track us down, both from the company perspective and whoever created the initial malware. We've had a look at it. We only understand some of it, but yeah, we've still been able to.
Are you able to decrypt when people pay you the ransom? Are you giving them the keys, or is it just a big scam?
It's just a big scam. We were just glad that it worked. It worked. Hooray. But yeah, we don't know. But yeah, it's also obviously getting a lot more attention, so that's also making us a bit paranoid and nervous as inexperienced hackers.
Shall we go to the experienced hackers?
Sure thing. Hello, everybody. I don't know how to sound like a polar bear, but we are from the country of bears.
Alaska, for anyone wondering.
There you go. So it's been fun tonight. So I think our first indication was that something was amiss, because we've been doing this for a while. We've been in stealth mode for quite a while. We've had a wider mission that the NIA is kind of getting a grasp of the size of, and we were alerted in the past 24 hours to some cheeky Green Day miscreants accessing a backdoor that we'd put into one of our targets. And so we investigated this, and we also noticed at the same time that one of our freelancers hadn't checked in for a while. And we kind of thought, well, this is a bit suspicious. It's been quiet for a long time. We've been very successful in our mission, and now there's a lot of attention that's happening. There's some flags being raised. So we had to think about what we were going to do about that, really. So should I just tell you what our plan is going to be? Do you want to hear it all? Okay, so we kind of thought that that we would ramp up the disinformation. We thought we would activate a lot of our sock puppet accounts. Yes, even APTs have HR issues. This is true. And we found out that the missing person in action had actually sold our exploit to Green Day. You should vet your people more carefully, Megan. And so we've ramped up our disinformation, and we've pretty much created lots of breadcrumbs, if you like, to just pin the tail on Green Day, to make sure that all the media attention is on them, and that they're going to take the heat for the majority of the stuff that's going to go on. We've also made sure that we've activated our fire hydrant strategy. So we are extracting any information that we haven't got already that we want before we start shutting our noisiest backdoors down that have been exposed. And we are going to try and persist as many new backdoors as possible, in the hope that when the forensic investigations happen in the future that they don't find us. And there might have been some plutonium mentioned for the person who went missing. But they're not a forgiving nation state. Ladies, is there anything else that I've missed there in terms of what you decided you wanted to do? Polonium, yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that was our plan.
Does anyone want what was actually happening or the actual storyline in the last 2 minutes before we overrun by more than 20 minutes?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Okay. So a nation state actor nicknamed Polar Bear, because I used a random generator and that's just what came out. There is no significance there. Had a backdoor which had been running for about 6 months in some management software. A few weeks ago, they had a defector who decided they'd had enough of working conditions and the poor pay, got out of the country and started selling that backdoor. A small red team, opportunists, got hold of it, decided to use it to ransomware. They went after GlowGrid because that was the one that they were sold. They only started to find out it was used more widely or affected more widely later on. And that's where the scenario kicked off. So that was the truth of it. Someone had gone walkabout, sold some intel, and the ransomware was the first thing that really showed that the backdoor was there. Any questions about that? Bearing in mind it's past people's bedtime, particularly mine. I am happy to take any feedback and answer any questions afterwards if you want to just message me on the Slack as well.
Well,
really enjoyed it. It's a good scenario.
This event it might be based on a real event. There could be similarities to a real event. There are certain differences, namely the defector is new and thrown in because I usually like to throw in a human angle because people don't go looking for it. But no, it is absolutely a real event. So yeah, this has happened.
We know it's happened.
Yeah.
all right.
Not going to mention any names in case there are lawyers listening.
Thank you, everyone. I know we have overrun, so I'm going to stop the recording. I really hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Thank you all.